Yo, 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 what's going on? This is your boy Nkonje, and I'm here to do a review of Insecure Season 4, Episode 7, Low Key Trippin'. And I'm going to hop right to it. I want to take care of a few miscellaneous items first. I apologize for the lighting. I actually got some new lights in my place, some colored lights. So they're both on, but one is red and one is blue. I'm trying to set a mood up in here. Not for this, but just in general. So the lights are dark. Next time I'll do this in my office where there's more light. So I'll just start with that. Then the next thing is I'll rate this episode an 8. I thought this was a really good episode, and if you caught my video last episode, I wasn't looking forward. I don't think anybody really was looking forward to a whole episode dedicated to Molly, but surprise, 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 the team really pulled it together. This episode was directed by Jay Ellis, who plays Lawrence. And this was a really super good episode. Got a lot of people talking. So kudos to Yvonne Uwe, if I'm pronouncing it correctly, an Igbo young lady from Nigeria. Is so proud of the work. I'm sure I butchered your last name, so I apologize, Yvonne. But phenomenal work. That you can love the actress but hate the character speaks volumes. That's how careers are built. And so, Yvonne, hats off to you. That you did an amazing job. You got everybody talking. This episode was excellent. So I want to talk about some miscellaneous things because I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on them. So I want to kind of get these notables out of the way. The first is Kim Fields did a cameo in this episode. And, I'm going to be honest. First of all, it was really cool to see Kim. We haven't seen her in a long time. And for those probably in the millennials and up to my generation, Kim Fields is Regine from Living Single. If you go way back, she's Tootie from, I think it was Facts of Life. And so Kim and I are around the same age. And so it was kind of weird to see her not be fabulous and to be playing the roles that her mother was playing around that age. If you guys kind of recall, her mom is Chip Fields. And so in the 90s, Chip would kind of show up in these random episodes. And she basically played this character that Kim played in this episode, sort of this quirky, eccentric woman who's kind of the laughable moment in the show. They're kind of there to give you sort of that 1 minute laugh and then they move on. So it's kind of weird to see Kim in that role. But, I mean, she's probably around 50. And this is where she is now. So it was cool to see her, and I'm all for it. Kim, it was nice to see her. I just want to say right from the jump, before I get into my review, that the brother, Andrew's brother, Victor, I think he's a complete asshole. I didn't like him from the moment they got off the plane, all the way up into the big episode in the jacuzzi that we'll talk about a little bit later. But I did not like him. But for the purposes of this review, I don't think that his being an asshole has anything to do with how Molly carried herself in this episode, and we'll talk about that in a moment. Something I watch a lot of reviews. Insecure is just a really now culture thing that's happening among black people. I think we really love, particularly those millennials, really love kind of seeing their lives play out on television, their relationships play out on television. So it's really cool to kind of see this thing happening. But there was something that a lot of people in these reviews are saying that they didn't understand, was that Lydia, and I believe that's Victor's wife's name, Lydia, who's Andrew's sister-in-law, kept complimenting Molly and talking about how beautiful she was. And everybody was like, all the reviews, every last one of the reviews I saw, they were all like, it was kind of weird that she was so complimentary, but, we kind of, enjoyed her being so polite. And so I think this was a a reference to how non-black people see black women. Um, if they were in my generation, they would refer to them, they would call them exotic. That was the thing you would say about black women who were dark, um, you know, attractive, you know, full figured. They would refer to them as exotic, and always compliment on how beautiful black women are. And of course, black women are, in my opinion, the most gorgeous people on the planet. But for people who are not of color, they're very infatuated with the dark skin, the hair, the texture, the natural booty, the busty titties. People who are not black, women and men who are not black, really see black women as this phenomena. And again, back in the day, they would just say, "Oh my God, she's just so exotic." And so what people say now is, "Oh my God, you're so beautiful," and they go on and on and on about this beauty, when what they're really saying is that they're infatuated with your dark skin and your full body. So I just thought that I would throw that in there. That's free. I love Looking for LaToya. I love that it is playing in, I guess they're in Mexico. And I love that Looking for LaToya is Universal. Molly's body was insane. What she wore, the little tight fitting, Molly brought her A game. And it was cool. It was cool seeing Molly be relaxed and sexually free, which is not, new for Molly. I mean, if you've seen other episodes, she's very, free with her sexuality. But she brought her A game with her body. Her body was just on point. So it was really cool. And then the last thing that I'm just going to touch on was they brought up Nathan's mental illness. And it was implied that, Issa may be, kind of in a thing with him now. And that Andrew, informed Molly that, when he ghosted her, he was going through this mental illness thing he has going on. So I want to just touch on that very quickly because my opinion on it is succinct. I don't care. Unless this man was retarded, and I know that sounds, bad, and it's probably not politically correct. And mute, there is no excuse for him to disappear for weeks without telling Issa. I'm sorry. He having a mental illness does not, he talked to Nathan. He was posted on Instagram. So you're not going to go, "Oh my God, he has a mental illness? Oh, well, that explains everything." I'm not that guy. That doesn't fly for me. It's not enough. He ghosted her. In fact, he did it twice. After they first met, she was reaching out to him. He kind of disappeared on her. And then he reappeared at the Beyonce's thing, Coachella. He reappeared and she was like, "Hey, what happened to you?" And he was like, "Oh, I thought I moved too fast." When no, actually you ghosted. And then the second time he ghosted, and again, kind of with some bullshit about, I guess actually that was the first time he ghosted when, that was the second time when he was talking about this mental illness thing. So I don't buy it. I don't care. And I really hope, and I actually don't believe that they're making Nathan a thing. I do think Lawrence got a job offer, or he anticipates getting a job offer in San Francisco, and that's why he wants to meet with Issa. A lot of people are theorizing that, they're going to try to get together, but Nathan's going to be kind of in the background and making it difficult. I hope that's not the angle they're going. My prediction, when this is all said and done, is Issa and Lawrence will not be together, and Molly and Issa are going to build their friendship. I think when this whole thing is done, that's where it's going to be. So, I can kind of see that, and I'm not wanting to go through the whole, now he really wants her, but she's not really into him when she was really into him before, and I'm just not interested in that that dynamic. I think it will be more interesting to see how their friendship rebuilds. That's my 2 cents. Okay, so that's the miscellaneous, and we're gonna get into this episode. And I'm gonna tell you right now, if this video jumps off, it will likely be because there'll be many black women who are not going to be happy with the what I'm about to say, and I don't care. I've watched many reviews, and the bulk of reviews that I watch are narrated by black women, and all but one, and shout out to, I believe it's camera music, I believe is how she says it, was the only narrator that I feel really presented an objective view of the scene that Molly caused in that jacuzzi. And so we're kind of build up to that, and I'm gonna get there quickly. But I already know people will be pissed, and I don't care. I'm just gonna say it. I don't care. So the show starts with us really seeing, what happened right from the moment that Issa came up to the Ethiopian restaurant. So from Molly's perspective, she actually saw Molly get out of the car. And what Molly was doing was being extra. She's being extra with that waitress, which, if I'm not mistaken, that's the same waitress from episode 1, where she and Issa were kind of giving the waitress a hard time. Now Molly came in there. I mean, I worked in food service. I know how annoying it is for somebody to come and sit down and waste your time with, oh, do you have blah, blah, blah? Okay, I get that. Wait. No. I don't want that. And blah, 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 blah. I mean, it's so fucking annoying. Like, don't call me over here if you don't know what you want. I mean, seriously. And you think it's cute while you're doing it. Meanwhile, my time is being wasted. So, anyway, so then she sees Issa, coming up. And so she's getting prepared. She's not going to acknowledge Issa, and she's going to pretend like she's doing something else, anticipating the moment where Issa has to come to her first and say, let's talk. But kudos to Issa. Issa turned her ass around and got back in the car and went home. Left Molly with her face on the floor, and I was here for that. I know that there are this small group of Team Molly people who think that Molly is justified in her actions. And you, of course, are entitled to your thought process on this. I happen to think that what Molly did at her best friend's event was just straight up ratchet and inexcusable. And I know that everybody wants to say, oh, but they both had to take part in it. No, I'm not here for any of that. That was Issa's event. She acted a complete fool, and it was Molly's fault. I don't care what you say about what happened before then. Yes, Issa is passive aggressive. And yes, Issa hates confrontation. And yes, Issa blew her off. And yes, Issa was wrong for those things. It doesn't justify Molly acting the way she did at that event. That was straight up ghetto. That was not the actions of a 32-year-old professional lawyer in a corporate career doing her thing. That was just ratchet. So, but this woman really feels like she didn't do anything wrong. I mean, she really doesn't. So, Molly, Issa leaves. Good job, Issa. And then Molly goes home to Andrew. And, I saw Issa and she didn't even speak to me and blah, 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 blah. And I watch all these interviews. So everybody, all these women really are into Andrew. And I gotta tell you, I like him less and less every freaking episode. I was really feeling this dude at first because he was checking Molly on her bullshit. But I don't know, they just made him a different character now because she acted a fool for no reason, and he apologized to her, which I don't get. Now, she comes back and she making another reference to Issa, and he's not acknowledging how not only did Issa see her and turn around, but she saw Issa and didn't do anything. So they were both. I mean, I just don't. I don't. Andrew pissed me off in this episode, and I'm gonna give you more information why he pissed me off as we get down into this. So, um, there is something else though about Andrew. Am I the only one that has noticed that ever since they got together, every single episode, Molly brings drama? Every episode, this one included. So I just don't understand why Andrew is like now all in when before he was stepping off because of her antics. Like her antics haven't improved; they've gotten worse, and so he's still there. And the way he acted in this episode, I'm just completely done with Andrew. I mean, I have a word for him. I mean, he's a pussy. He's just a punk, and I don't get him. And the women are really loving this guy because he's standing with her through all of her self-imposed drama. And I mean, I don't. I don't. That doesn't say anything about his character. It just says that she found a stupid ass dude that would put up with that shit and stick with it no matter how much unnecessary drama she brings to the table. I don't understand why women like him so much. I really don't. He's a punk, and I don't get it. But we'll talk, more about him in a moment. So I want to get down to the scene. And the scene that I'm talking about is the infamous scene in the jacuzzi. So by now I've really kind of let it all out that I'm just not here for Molly. And I'm not. I am not here for Molly, but I will say that I'm going to go through this and then I'm going to tell you what most all of the reviews that I've listened to, narrated by black women, how they presented this scene, except one. Now I will state for the record, I have certainly not seen all reviews by black women on Insecure season 4, episode 7, low key. What is this? Low key tripping. But I'm saying that all the ones I've seen, and I've probably seen 8 of them, all but one took the same viewpoint on this, and we'll talk about that in just a moment. So we're going to go by this step by step. Molly leaves the jacuzzi or the pool. Maybe it's a pool, not a. Well, no, it was a jacuzzi. To go get a towel for Lydia, who got some chlorine in her eye. So Molly walks up and sees the lady at concierge giving this white couple towels. Okay. When Molly comes up, the white lady asks Molly for her room key card. Molly says, well, I just came out of the pool. I don't have the key card. She says, oh, well, policy is that I must have the key card. And so Molly and the lady have an exchange because Molly's like, you just gave these white people towels and you didn't ask them for a key card. Why is it all of a sudden for me a key card is required? We got to follow policy. Okay. So as they're having the exchange, Victor walks up. Now, Victor hasn't seen anything up until this point. He literally, and I was talking to a partner of mine, and he was like, well, he could have been watching from the other side and seeing things that we didn't see. But if you watch that scene, Victor literally almost just walked right past, and then he just like kind of turned and noticed that Molly was standing there having a problem. So he didn't see anything. And he steps up and he gives her the key. Oh, no, she's good. She's in room, whatever. And then Victor gives the lady his room key. The lady then hands the towels to Victor. And then Molly yanks them out of her hand and storms off. I'm going to stop right here. I 100% understand Molly, even though, given what we saw, and what we saw is what Molly saw. We can't know for sure if that lady asked those white people for their card or not. We don't know that. And if it were me, I probably would not have assumed that she did not if I didn't see for myself. I would have thought it odd that you're insisting on seeing this key card. I mean, obviously I'm in the pool. Obviously I'm here. I just need the towel. But I wouldn't have made a big deal about it. And I'm going to take this a step further for black women. Black men wouldn't have done it either. They would have just been like, okay, let me go back and get a key from somebody else, and that would have been that. I mean, I don't, and every single black woman except one that reviewed this show could not see beyond the drama that came next as a result of this. If it had been a black man, I am 99.9% certain we would have, given that scenario, would have been like, okay, let me just go get another key. I mean, who cares? It's a key, for crying out loud, and it's a towel. It's not even for me. I'm trying to help somebody else. Okay? Now, I'm going to put that to the side. Assuming that we saw that lady give those towels to those people as they came up and did not ask for a towel. Me? Oh, I would have acted just like Molly. I surely would have. I would have acted a complete fool. I would have, to her. Because this isn't up to subjectivity. I know my eyes would not have lied to me. I know what I saw. And if the rule is that you have to have a room key to get towels, then that's not something that you can just decide arbitrarily. So I would have reacted pretty similar to what Molly did. I 100% understand, given that set of information, where Molly was coming from. Now, just as a black person, given that situation, I would understand Molly's viewpoint. Even given this situation, even though I wouldn't have reacted the same way. I would have understood a viewpoint because I'm a black man. And when you're a black man in these United States of America, you know that white people treat black people differently, and they don't even realize it. They think they are following the rules. And what they don't understand is that those rules, they don't apply them to all people. They're just applying such rules to black people. I absolutely understand Molly. Now, Molly goes to the jacuzzi. She goes into the jacuzzi. Andrew notices that she's upset, and he asks what happens. And then Victor jumps in and says, well, the lady that was giving out the towels is just taking her job a little too seriously. And then Molly chips in, well, yeah, and she put a racial component to it, being a little racist. And then Lydia was like, oh my God, are you serious? Maybe she was just jealous about your beauty. Now, I've already explained the beauty thing. That's a non-black person's way of referencing our skin and our hair and all of that stuff that they so captured with. But then, Victor comes in and says, okay, well, let me play devil's advocate. And then he presents a situation where this had nothing to do with race, that the lady was just doing her job. Then Molly goes into this thing where she says, first of all, you don't understand. You guys can pick and choose when you're people of color. You're only people of color when it's convenient for you. She reprimands them for speaking in their native tongue because she's reminding them that she's there and she needs to understand what's going on. And then when Victor makes a couple of comments that were I would call them disingenuous, I guess. But he wasn't rude. Um, she goes, "Fuck you, get your fucking brother, and I'm out." Um, I've watched so many reviews, and almost every woman, every black woman, when they were reviewing this scene, they did not reference her attitude to those people. None of them. Absolutely none of them, except camera music or camera TV music. All of them talked about how, Asian people don't understand, as a black woman, what we are subjected to. All of them was speaking about how, in this country, Asian Americans are not treated the same as black African Americans, and they don't understand the journey. All of these reviews somehow referenced how Victor was being an asshole and how Molly may have overreacted a little bit, but the problem was the brother agitated the whole thing. I listened to these reviews and I'm like, are you serious? All except camera TV music. I'm going to say this. Molly's behavior in that jacuzzi was not acceptable. It was not. And if you could watch that scene and give an assessment of it and not reference her behavior there, how is that even possible? I'm a black man. You will not be able to tell me about racism in the United States. I'm going to encounter it in 6 hours when I'm at work. I encounter it almost daily in my interactions at some point. It is a natural part of being when you are black in these United States. Hell, they got Donald Trump as the president. If nothing else, they are licensed to treat us as disparagingly as they possibly can with no repercussions. We deal with racism every day. So, what gives Molly the right to unleash her frustration on her boyfriend's family that she just met? Fuck you, Andrew, get your fucking brother. Really, ladies? You saw nothing wrong with that? Molly had a legitimate gripe with that white lady or whatever she is. I mean, honestly, we're not sure if she asked those white people for the key or not. And really, that's not even the point. I mean, because if that's how Molly saw it, who are we as black people to say that she didn't see it that way? We've all experienced it, right? But exactly what did Lydia and Victor and Andrew have to do with that? Molly brought up that there was a racial interaction between her and the lady at that station. Why did she do that with 3 people who were not black? Why wasn't it enough to say, I had a thing with the lady with the town, it kind of threw me off for a moment, but you're not with black people. It's not like they could identify, and they can't. Asian people, and there is this history between Asians and African Americans, or Asians and Africans for that matter, where there's this weird, kind of relationship type thing going on. But Molly is, from what we can see, the only black person there. And she's with Asian people. To reference racial discrimination or biases with people can't identify with it, what exactly was your hopeful outcome? That they would understand? That they would empathize? So if you bring it up to them knowing they can't understand it, how then can you be upset with them for not understanding it? And then worse, she said to them, "You're only people of color when it's convenient for you." She grouped all Asians into one bucket, just like white folks do to black people. Ladies, really? You saw nothing wrong with that? I'm sorry. You cannot say that other people just don't understand because they don't know our struggle. You're right. They don't know our struggle. Therefore, she had no business bringing up race among people who she knew would not be able to identify with it. So Victor's stance as a person who, well, one might say is really not of color, but certainly isn't black. He's sort of taking this devil's advocate standpoint. That's what people do when they have no idea. They cannot understand your struggle. There are a lot of people who consider themselves liberals who voted for Donald Trump. And a lot of Republicans that are conservatives that voted for Donald Trump. And they would say that they don't like his stance on social issues, but they are 100% behind him on his foreign policy, his policy on immigration, so forth and so on. Those people who are white, have the benefit of not having to consider the race component and the race baiting that he does, because it does not affect them. So they can literally set his bigotry to the side and focus on the things that matter to them. His foreign policies, his opinions on immigration, his view on how to build the economy. They can focus on those things because the race baiting and the misogyny, those things don't affect them. Molly is a 32-year-old attorney. She could not possibly have had her first experience with racism with that lady. I will not believe that. And because that wasn't her first experience, I will not say it was okay and even understandable that she would come down there, curse that man's family, and storm out like a common everyday hood rat. That was unnecessary. And that you could watch that and not make that part of your analyses, I don't understand how. I really don't. And this brings me to Andrew. I don't like him. If you can be with a woman that can act like that and somehow you are holding her hand and telling her, "Oh, it's my brother's fault," really? It's your brother's fault that she cursed them out because she didn't like what they were saying. This was just a bit too much for me. And I watched this episode 3 times. I watched it first, and initially my reaction was exactly the way that it is right now. And then after I watched so many of these reviews, and I'm like, these women almost didn't even mention the way that she acted in that jacuzzi after that incident. All of them except one were talking about how, people don't understand, and this friction between Asians and Africans, and, people don't understand as a black woman what we go through. And but no one was mentioning that she cursed them people out. That she herself exhibited bigotry characteristics when she threw all of them into a cesspool of only referencing themselves as people of color when it was convenient to them. And then when she said to Andrew, "Oh, but you're not like the rest of them," isn't that what white people say to us all the time? Oh my God, you're so articulate. Hmm. Oh my God, you dress so nicely. All of those innuendos that because we speak well and because we dress well and because we are learned and we're aware that we're somehow not like the rest of them. That's what Molly just said to Andrew. You're not like the rest of them. Now, I know what she meant. From all practical purposes, from what we've seen, Andrew really doesn't really have people who aren't black as friends. His friend is black, his roommate's black, his girlfriend is black. We've only seen him with black people. So when she says you're not the same, it's really not the same way that white people, when they come to us and say, well, oh my God, you just speak so well. You're so articulate. We know that that's not what she means. But if I'm Lydia or Victor or Andrew, I'm thinking, oh, really? Why? Because I walk differently? What makes me different? I'm Asian. My brother is Asian, and so is his wife. It just really blew me away, and I was disappointed. I was disappointed when I was listening to those reviews and how all those women were just not acknowledging her attitude and her behavior. Black people, we encounter and endure and face racial slurs, bigotry, treatment every day. Every day. And every time it's done, it's hurtful and it's painful. And you're so frustrated, particularly when you have your non-black friends who want to understand, who want to empathize, but just don't. When Molly was referencing that these Asian people are only people of color when it's convenient to them, for some reason I thought about Rachel Dolezal, I believe is her name, the white woman who pretended she was black for several years. I think she ran a chapter. She was the president of a chapter of NAACP in Ohio for a period of time. And, there was this really thing that was going on, particularly during the Obama years, where being white wasn't cool. And so a certain white person in a certain age demographic, they would not necessarily refer to themselves as white. They would call themselves mixed. And that became sort of the thing. And it's kind of that story where people kind of want to jump onto your journey so they can feel a part of it. And I get it. Black people, we're resilient and we are miraculous and we're wonderful. And if you really sit back and you see us from a distance and you see what we have to endure and you realize and recognize from where we came, I understand you're wanting to be a part of it when you see our swagger and the way we walk and the way we talk and the way we engage and the way we dress and our humor and our physique and all these things about us. I understand why people want to jump on the black bandwagon. And I get where Molly was coming from when she said that there are people who identify as people of color when it's sort of chic to do so. I get that. But under no circumstances does her behavior on that trip with her boyfriend, the way she spoke to those people who had nothing to do with that incident and who only spoke from their only point of reference because they're not black. They don't understand. And whether they choose to be of color or not, they will never have our experience. And you know that. So why do you get upset with them when they speak from a place of ignorance. I was ashamed the way that lady acted. That was just, well, no, I wasn't ashamed. I was disappointed. But and then the next day, obviously the great weekend was now almost, done. And she woke up the next morning and she said this, and it just pissed me off. She says to Andrew, I thought we were going to meet Victor and Lydia later. I hope I didn't mess things up. Why would you have messed anything? Why would they be upset with you? I mean, you told them to fuck off. Why would they be upset about that? You made a generalization about their entire culture in front of them. Why would they be upset? Why would you think you messed anything up? The only redeeming part of this show was when she called her therapist to set up an appointment. Then they did some other stuff. I guess the next episode is going to be all about Lawrence. Like I said, I think Lawrence probably got a job offer, anticipates a job offer in San Francisco, and he's probably going to meet up with Issa to see if they have a future. We'll get a break from Molly. I suspect that probably by the end of the season, that she and Andrew will have broken up. But that's it. That's all I got to say about this episode. I know this was long, but I really felt some kind of way, and I hope I didn't offend any of my black sisters. I love my black sisters, but I was really shocked at how many of those reviews I saw, and almost all of them explained the way she acted, and that was just not cool to me. Anyway, that's what I have to say. This is Nkonje. I'll be back next week to do our next to last episode for the season, and God only knows when we're going to see season 5, because nobody's filming right now. So I don't think we're going to be seeing Insecure in 2021, but that's my thought process. In any case, be cool. Mad luck to you. Happy Memorial's Day, and I am out.